Hi guys, welcome to another edition of the Rangman Show. Today we have Dave Tyagi, my good friend Dave Tyagi, who's back talking about the great actor Keanu Reeves. If you remember, some months back he'd spoken on the late great Shashi Kapoor and the effervescent Akshay Khanna. I mean, the man wears multiple hats. He's a fan of so many people, and I'm a fan of him. So welcome, Dave. Welcome to the Rangman Show again. How are you? How's it going?
Yeah, I'm actually on a diet of normality, so I feel good. Despite living in North, so I feel good. But I'm so glad to be back. And Pranay, what a sweet introduction. I'm not sure if I'm worthy of that, but definitely I'm wearing many hats. This one also is not my real hairstyle. I just got it from Tel Aviv yesterday because I was there to Tel Aviv that Jeru is busy with Salim. But yeah, let's come back to abnormality.
But your
Movies.
your hairstyle does match that of Keanu Reeves, who we are celebrating on the channel today. It's his birthday month. 2nd September was his birthday. तो देव उनकी early beginnings के बारे में हमें कुछ बताइए आप.
So, Pranay, first of all, let me begin by thanking you for keeping an episode specifically on Keanu Reeves. One of his interesting movies you spoke about September is actually a movie called Sweet November. But I think this is Sweet September because Keanu was born in this month. Many moons ago. He's a 61-year-old actor now, 61 plus. And it is to mankind's good fortune that we have a person like him. I'm not even sugarcoating. Any which ways, I'm trying to avoid sweets because Delhi itself is a very sweet place. You don't need too many to consume here. But truth be told, Keanu Reeves is true to his name, which actually in the Hawaiian language, the meaning of which in Hawaiian means cool breeze over the mountains. Born in Lebanon, Beirut, Canadian
Wow.
citizen, ran away to America when he was a young kid, has had a life which was full of trials and tribulations and countless tumult. I mean, the amount of tumult he's seen in his life actually could just bog the entire world down, but not Keanu. Why do I say that? Never really had a great relationship when it came to domestic matters. Father figure was actually absent, literally speaking. Lost his dad. Mum was there. बाद में जाकर के when he grew up, he even lost his sister to leukemia. And one of his closest friends was River Phoenix, a brilliant actor. And I tell you what, Pranay, had he lived, he would have made not only Jochen, his elder brother, proud, but entire Hollywood and perhaps entire world proud. He was a very realized man, River Phoenix, and River Phoenix actually, unfortunately, in reality, passed away outside a nightclub in Los Angeles, which I believe was owned by Captain Jack Sparrow, very much Johnny Depp. So, such is life. So, what I mean to say is that Keanu Reeves has led a very tumultuous life, but Pranay, despite life being very hard on him in terms of him grieving for several personal tragedies, he never became bitter. His sense of compassion only increased, his sense of love, his sense of empathy have only increased manifold. And I think that is principally the reason why people respect him just as much as they love him. Besides the fact that he's a phenomenal actor, and actually, if you think about it, a versatile one at that.
100% Dave. In fact, we are speaking about terms like love, empathy. So let's bring this to our viewers. This thing that before he did masterpieces like Speed, The Matrix, he featured as the very adorable and the very someone that the world looks up to, Gautam Budh, in a movie
Yes.
called as Little Buddha. I think that came out in 1992. So do you want to dwell a little on that?
Yes. I think 1993, 1992 is when the movie came. So it's actually a movie, I won't say which is largely forgotten, but truth be told, people do not really talk about this movie as much as they should. And I really think that they should. So, Little Buddha, first of all, in this part of the world where we are, it should and it always should be Buddha. But any which ways, it became Buddha, like Yog became Yoga. Keanu Reevesa nahi hai na, Keanu Reeves hai, but nonetheless. So this movie touches upon very beautifully, intricately, and how do I say, evolvingly, for the lack of better word, on the aspect of three phases of the enlightened one's life. Siddharth the prince, Gautam the seeker, and Buddh the enlightened one. And the movie was actually made by an Italian filmmaker who traveled, believe you me, many miles here to this part of the subcontinent, India and Nepal, to trace the roots, history, and actually shoot the movie here. So Keanu Reeves was pretty much here amongst us. I must have been a 89-year-old kid then. No, I'm just kidding, just eight. When the movie was made, 1993. My math is still right. But ये movie largely forgotten है. People don't really talk about it more, and they should. And I'll tell you why. Because there have been some extremely captivating shots that have been taken of his eyes, of his face, which of course, in which he's trying to portray how the personality or the face of the enlightened one may have looked like, if at all anybody can actually trace it. And the movie is talking about a lama and his search for a kid who he believes is the incarnation of little Buddha. सो वो मूवी की जर्नी ऐसे स्टार्ट होती है एंड देन जब बुद्ध का कैरेक्टर आता है तो फिर देन कियानू रीव्स कम्स इनटू हिज ओन सो दे हैव एक्चुअली शोन द एग्जैक्ट थिंग that when he was born in that princely salubrious kingdom, and then he realizes that these changing vagaries of time is something that I need to understand, and I'm not going to be captivated by the spoils and luxuries of life, and perhaps that my calling is much more bigger than the fancies of this kingdom or what people want to attest to the richness and luxuries. So he tries to break away, he tries to find the path within, and he realizes that मुझे तो दूर जाना होगा समझने के लिए, क्योंकि मैं इसके लिए तो बना नहीं हूँ. So I think one of the most beautiful and evocative films which makes you think a lot about life, and of course the enlightened one. So that movie was there. But I would say that Pranay, 1990s was the time that actually cultivated the legend of Keanu Reeves.
Right.
Before he became an icon, he was already a legend. And the films that actually started cultivating that legend were movies like Speed. Little Buddha, not
Mm.
so much. People should still look at it from a perspective of understanding that there is more to Keanu Reeves than this very saleable, likable action star, which his image has now sort of become restricted to, thanks to the John Wick mesmerizing franchise,
Mm.
no doubt about it. But movies like Speed, which came in
Yeah.
1994, actually birthed the legend of Keanu Reeves. That was like the big ticket selling thing. Like you've made it, you've arrived. आई वुड से उसके पहले लेट 80s में बहुत मजेदार फिल्म्स थी, बिल एंड टेड्स एक्सीलेंट एडवेंचर, फिर बीच में चेन रिएक्शन
Mm.
फिल्म जैसी फिल्म आई मिड 90s अगेन. सो कियानू हैड बीन वर्किंग incessantly hard. But again, I would stress on the fact that Pranay, before 1999 में Matrix आई, and then that just
Mm.
sealed him into another bracket of his own, right? And all of us know that Matrix was the film that everybody was talking about and still does. I would still say that Keanu's humility, his personality, and his ability, whilst playing different characters, and then, being true to these different characteristics that he has, all of which are in the blend of nicety, niceness, simplicity,
Mm.
that have really made him the star that he is. And people should really think about the fact that, a celebrity is not a celebrity. You have to replace the person from the cult of celebrity to understand कि वो शख्स वाकई कैसा है, अगर आप करना चाहें तो. So Keanu Reeves is a symbol of humility. Like, there have been, so I think somewhere late 2000s, there was this sad Keanu meme which was floating around on the internet, where people felt that he was a sad man, recluse. He was eating a sandwich all by himself on the streets of New York, taking the metro, subway, standing up for people, offering his seat willingly. So it became a sad Keanu meme trend. So क्या वो एक दुखी इंसान है? Is there sadness inside him? Yes, loads of it. But again, I would say when he could have become bitter, he chose not to. He chose to just bear whatever life gave him, all these knocking
Mm.
blows, but he never bowed down. He stayed
Right.
humble, you know.
But Dave, I mean, the sense of life is humility, to be honest with you, and the garb of stardom is always very temporary because the person within is the actual person that people also want to see.
Right.
Uh, And this is actually calling out the social media fanatics who portray stars larger than life, which is actually not the case. They are as human as you and me are. So they've very interestingly, when you were talking about his journey as Gautam Buddha, I think somewhere that sort of paralleled with his journey in his actual life of being so humble and searching for something which is far more than just stardom or just celebrity status, and sort of that got him to become humble. Would you reckon that actually is the case?
Um, Keanu Reeves is the kind of personality who has epitomized simplicity, and
Hmm.
that is the crux of the discussion here. And I think the fact that if you do not change despite having attained superstar status, having become a cult figure, and the kind of monies that he's attracted, and deservingly so, having starred in such a brilliant action franchise as John Wick, he hasn't changed a bit. मुझे इस बात में कोई शक नहीं है कि if you and me are walking together in Bombay somewhere, Mumbai for the world, Bombay for us, still as for many. And if we actually bump into him, let's say hypothetically he's shooting there and we, stop him for a selfie, at least I would take a selfie. I'm sure you won't because you won't pardon him for not being born in South Africa. So he won't mind. He will smile. He'll sit and talk to you. He might not give you his entire time, but वो आपसे बात कर लेगा. 120 seconds with him would feel like eternity. Why? Because you're in the company of an august man, irrespective of the month you meet him in, but because you felt so much at ease. And I think that's the mark of great people, Pranay, who let you be
100%,
yourself.
100%.
In fact, he did some amazing ventures also. He wrote a book called the Happiness Book.
Oh, tell us a little more on that.
So he wanted to write, he wanted to express creatively. तो उन्होंने किताब लिख दी, Little Book of Happiness or something like that. Probably I'm not getting the exact title right, but
Okay.
the book is about simple pleasures of joy,
Right.
aimed at young readers and of course their parents and stuff like that. So Keanu has been dabbling in various ventures of life whose end goal is not just about becoming slave to the corrupt sands of commerce.
Much like yourself, if I may.
There has to be some commerce coming in for me to become. There's nothing. हेलो भैया दे दूंगा आपका बिल. हाँ अभी सांस लेने पे टैक्स नहीं है.
So they've coming back to his acting exploit. So as we know that he was the guy who was as fast as the bus in speed and
Yeah.
showing his masterclass in action, and then came the abundantly filled VFX film, The Matrix, and then again
Right.
his action-oriented character in John Wick. But there's another side of Keanu Reeves also, which is skewed towards romanticizing, towards simplicity, as you rightly said. And the simple man has a lot of versatility to him, which often people don't realize. So, do you want to spend some time there and talk about his other exploits, which are not so action oriented per se?
Yes. So, Abhi, one of the latest movies which dwells in the space of romance but cute comedy, The Sweet Little Nothings, is a movie called Destination Wedding, which actually is based on the theme called Destination Wedding, in which he starred with Winona Ryder. I think one of the most scintillating, beautiful, soft apple pie sort of actresses. Very soft, very cute, very sweet, very charming, and really a darling for Keanu Reeves and vice versa. So they were paired together in the movie. I really urge you to watch it. You will not have wasted 2 hours of your life on that, unless and until you decide to take a last minute trip to the Delhi Metro. Yeah, and then wanting to write an article there in peace. But yeah, so you should see Destination Wedding. So unwillingly he decides to spend time with a person he can't stand, and it's the same respect coming from the other way. And both of them have been tagged together by fate whilst attending somebody else's wedding. And at the end of the day, they discover that they like themselves. And then what happens? So the movie is about that. The movie also has an interesting scene in which apparently a mountain cat, Puma,
Hmm.
they come face to face with. So
Oh,
it was actually there. And by the way, Keanu Reeves does all his own stunts, whether they are spiritual or they are action oriented. And to talk more about the realm of romance, there are movies like The Lake Palace.
Hmm.
which actually has a beautiful song sung by the legendary Beatles icon, Sir Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
Um, it's just surreal. It's beautiful. You have to see
Right.
the lake. Sandra Bullock is there. So Keanu has had the romantic appreciation from these two actresses in particular. I think he's sweet when he says, "I too have a crush on them," but they definitely have a crush on Keanu. And Pranay, there's also this beautiful movie called A Walk in the Clouds, which you also have seen. A
Yeah.
Walk in the Clouds is about a very uncanny, smooth, free-flowing story, but very soft story about, I think, a person who's serving in the US Army or something like that, and then he takes a halt, and then he
Right.
becomes engaged. With a girl romantically, and I think he's serving in the town or something like that. I can't seem to remember the exact storyline. I was very small when I saw it, but because I used to watch a lot of Tom Hanks, Keanu Reeves, Val Kilmer movies growing up, so somewhere these titles and these storylines remain etched in your mind, even if you don't remember the exact story of every single film. It's a little difficult. But Walk in the Clouds featured a much younger Keanu, of course, because the movie
95.
came.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is there. The Lake Palace is there. And then there is this another very lesser appreciated, easygoing film called Feeling Minnesota. Feeling
Hmm.
Minnesota has Cameron Diaz. And the story is really funny. He turns up for the wedding of his brother, and the person he's going to end up marrying, his brother, she falls for Keanu. So they have a they have a thing going on. So
Why am I not
the
surprised? Hmm.
yeah. So, Feeling Minnesota is also an interesting movie. So, this is kind of an answer to all those critics who sort of they seek pleasure from restricting Keanu in the image of the action hero. No, he's done a lot of other roles as well. You can't typecast a man like that. Yes, he might not necessarily seem very expressive on his face all the time. If you compare him, for example, to the facial expressions that maybe a Jim Carrey or Christoph Waltz or Tom
Hmm.
Hanks can offer, but there is great range in Keanu Reeves acting. And अच्छा बंदा है यार, भगवान का बंदा है वो. He is a godsend. He with malice towards none. I think if there would ever be, and there should be multiple books written on him, I'll try and do one myself. I don't know when. I can't promise. There are many promises I don't keep to myself. So the title of that book should be With Malice Towards None. Um,
That's a start, Dave. I mean, a start is always, it counts for the journey to commence, and the journey has to be beautiful. And I'm sure you can tread that path. And we on
I
the Rangman show would actually want you to come out with that book and then have you as Dave, the author, the book writer coming on the Rangman show. That'll be nice.
That's right. And Pranay, how did I forget about Sweet November with Charlize Theron? And now
Yeah,
your speed would increase because she's born in South Africa. And
I
actually,
think she, I
by the
think she's a fabulous actress. I mean,
I
despite
think
the
she's one
fact
of the
that
biggest contributions of South Africa to the world. No jokes.
having said that, Dave, offline you were telling me about another movie that's actually not known to a lot of people, but it's centered around a place in America called as My
Yeah.
Own Private Idaho. So, do you want to dwell a little on that?
So, I mean, this is one of the finest movies ever made, I would say, in terms of exploring the context of friendship. Um, the journey that it takes two close friends on, what we become and where we were and what we become in the end, and the trail that it leaves in, the footprints that it leaves on your life. It's a remarkably beautiful movie if you actually think about it. The movie is called My Own Private Idaho. As you rightly said, Pranay, named after the region, the state, very much, very scenic, idyllic place in America. Not that it needs introduction, but those of us who might not know, I think it manufactures, produces, not manufactures rather, that would be a compliment to genetically modified foods. It produces the most quantum of potatoes, which is also a tribute to my fitness standards. But My Private Idaho is a fantastic movie. River Phoenix was in the movie. Joaquin Phoenix's younger brother,
Yeah,
um, and
spoken.
uh, and the movie has has a visual impact on people, I would say. Those people who I think are wanderers, thinkers, poets. And it was made by the legendary Gus Van Sant, and he needs no introduction. And I think it's one of the most remarkable contributions in to the just I won't say just the art of filmmaking, but just understanding the narrative of friendship. Like two cool dudes. One comes from an illustrious family. He couldn't care rat's pudding about his father's wealth or whatever. That character is played by Keanu Reeves. And the other is played by River Phoenix, Keanu Reeves' real life friend, who passed away, by the way, which is why you and I were talking about जो tragedies उन्होंने जीवन में झेली हैं. So, story about two friends, how they wander, they explore, they're coming of age. And the other friend, played by River Phoenix, he actually, I think he has narcolepsy or some kind of a medical illness, and he just zones out. He gets what may look like a paralytic attack if you are not aware of the condition, but I think it's called narcolepsy. And he's living with that condition. And then they also actually become hustlers and possibly attract attention from members of the same sex. So it's a beautiful, really thought-provoking and wonderfully made film, which will make you wonder about the changing vagaries of human emotions. And
Yeah. I
one
think
should.
a couple of decades back, there should have been a movie that should have come in called as the My Own Private Pushkar, where two friends went on a journey of self-discovery, only to discover that the thing that they were actually looking for never existed.
Yeah, which was a T20 World Cup triumph for Burkina Faso, which is going to happen very soon, one day. But yeah, I mean, that trip was amazing. That was incredible.
So Dave, as
And also,
we
you actually thought we had a dead body at the back of the car. And then you realized the driver had dozed off for hours together.
those were the days, man. Those were the days. We were young and we wanted to explore more,
Pranay,
perhaps.
I want to ask you, we haven't spoken a lot in detail on Keanu Reeves specifically offline, but and of course you've been all aware of him all along. I mean, what would you say to him if you would meet him? The star, this mega star, but this nice person, this dude.
Yeah, I would just tell him that can I learn simplicity from you? That's all. Because under the garb of being this huge star, mega star, not only in the United States but all across the world, the way he keeps that simplicity intact, as you were rightly saying, and the way every moment sort of humbles him further. I think if I can imbibe those lessons from him, I think that'll be a very fulfilling experience. I would tell him that just teach me simplicity and humility.
Right. Praveen, there's also an entrepreneurial angle, I would say, but that comes from the space of being a hardcore racer. So
Hmm.
he is the creator of a brand called Arch Motorcycles.
Hmm.
So
Right.
Keanu Reeves is also a racing nerd, I would say. I wouldn't say like a nerd
See
nerd, but
another commonality with you.
वो
Barring the
Keanu है.
hairdo also.
वो Keanu है, मेरा निकनेम कनू है. तू किधर कहाँ तू? वो Keanu है, मेरे लोग है, तू किया क्या तू? Anyways, but so Keanu Reeves actually runs a motorcycle brand of his own. He's a hardcore racer when it comes to, when I say hardcore racer, not like in those international elite competitions, but besides the fact he's had motorsport stints with the famed iconic teams like Toyota. But when I say a
Hmm.
hardcore race, आप जिंदगी में अपने आप के साथ ही रेस कर रहे होते हैं ना. सो वो अपनी बाइक्स लेके निकल जाता है बस. And I believe there was a rumor, and I hope it's not true because if it is, then it sounds extremely dangerous, rather nearly fatal. He believes in the concept of demon driving or demon racing or demon biking, which means when visibility is not there in the late evening hours, he shuts off the lights of the motorcycle and he's still biking.
Wow.
And now he's also responsible for being part and rather being intricately being part of a documentary being made on a new Formula One team called Cadillac, which will be joining the grid from the next year. So Keanu Reeves is part of
Oh,
that
nice.
capacity. And I think it's just phenomenal. क्या नहीं किया उसने जीवन में, क्या नहीं देखा है उसने जीवन में. And but yeah, the spirit of living is still very much alive. He's a fairly young man who's 61 plus. He just recently got married, and I was told by several people, I never believed them, but now that I know Keanu a little bit, having been his fan all these years, I think it's true. He still continues to stay at the Chateau de Marmont Hotel, if I've pronounced that correctly, at Beverly Hills in LA. He doesn't really own a house. Like, even if he does, he's very reticent. But I used to just फकीरी सूफियत जो होती है ना, सूफियाना जो मिजाज होता है लोगों का, होटल में ही रह गए, घर ही नहीं खरीदा, पोजेशन से दूर, बेसिकली अ मैन हु abstains from material possessions because सब कुछ तो यहाँ छूट जाना है at the end of the day.
But if there's one message that we should end this podcast with, that's your learning from Keanu Reeves, and perhaps that's a message that you want to propagate to our viewers, to our audience. Please just take us through that.
I think one should be a tower of infinite excellence whose end beneficiary is the world, the society, and Keanu Reeves is exactly that. A tower of infinite excellence,
Right. So, guys, that
which is
was
why his
Dave.
tower is bigger. Sorry.
Always. I think hats off to the man, and it's been always really nice to speak to you. And
Likewise,
so,
Shannon.
guys, this is Dave again on the Rangman Show. Till we bring you another episode, please like, share, subscribe. आपके प्यार से हमारा channel बढ़ेगा. And thanks, Dave. Thanks again. And kudos till we see you next time. Bye.